Well, first of all, we've had a great time this week, and on behalf of the University of Alabama, I'd like to thank everyone involved that created the hospitality that has made this a wonderful week for, our entire program, our entire team, all of our players, coaches, families, all the people on the All-State Sugar Bowl Committee, as well as the City of New Orleans has really done a great job of helping us enjoy this experience, and it's been a great opportunity for our entire program. It's also a great opportunity for our team to play an outstanding Oklahoma team. Coach Stoops and his staff have done a wonderful job with the team that they have in terms of the coaching that they do, the discipline that they play with, the fundamentals that make them, I think, one of the better teams in the country. They certainly present a lot of challenges in terms of the things they do offensively and defensively. So it's going to certainly take our best effort as a team to, play the kind of football that we need to play to have success, in this game. There's lots of lessons to be learned for every team when you have adversity, and certainly we had adversity in our last opportunity as a team to play. So how we respond to that adversity will say a lot about, our football players individually and collectively as a group who need to make a commitment now to do the things that they need to do so that we can play the way we're capable of playing. And I think that's the major focus that we have, how we're going to respond, to the circumstance that we have. And, the last thing I'd like to say is, Happy New Year to everyone out there. Obviously, we have a lot to be thankful for, and I know we all make New Year's resolutions that sometimes last for a day, maybe a month, but hopefully they can last the whole year for you. So thank you.
Okay, thanks, Coach. At this time, we'll go ahead and open the floor for questions. Again, please raise your hand. We'll get a mic to you. We'll start on the left side, that's fifth or sixth row, middle of the row.
Barry Trammell with the Oklahoman. Nick, historically, big underdogs in bowl games actually have a decent record in terms of pulling the upset. Why do you think that is? And you haven't had much experience with that, but you've had a little. Why do you think that happens?
Well, I think the important thing about a bowl game is all about mindset. It's really hard to bring the season to the bowl game because the amount of time in between opportunities to play. So, how your team sort of resets their mindset is really important to how a team's going to prepare, how they're going to focus, how they're going to play in the game. So, and to me, sometimes if you're an underdog, you have a little bit more to prove, so that mindset is a little better, maybe than a team that doesn't have sort of the right motivation, going into a game. So, because I really do think that when you play in a bowl game, it's all about mindset.
Coach, Mark Thornhill with WFF in Huntsville. That said, do you get a gauge of your team where they are mentally right now with all the hurdles and with all the things that you're facing now? I mean, do you get a good sense here the day before the game that they're mentally ready?
Right. Well, I've been pleased with the way our team is prepared, the way that we practiced for this game, the way we've responded to do the things that we need to do to play well. I think that, sometimes I think one of our players said it best. Our victories is what defeated us. When you win, sometimes you start to lose focus on the things that are important to being successful. The process of things that you do to pay attention to detail, play with discipline, do the little things correctly, all of a sudden don't seem as important, and you don't practice as well, you don't prepare as well, you don't pay attention to these things, and all of a sudden it starts to show up in your play. And I think sometimes that when you have a disappointment, that you're a little more ready to respond, to get back to doing the things that you need to do to be successful. And I think that's the challenge for our players, and that's why this is an important game for us, is how do we respond to getting back to doing the things that we need to do to play Alabama football, be the kind of football team that we really aspire to be and have an expectation to be, which I really don't think we finished the season that way.
Back to the left side, first row.
Dean Blevins, News 9, Oklahoma City. Coach, players can hear the coaches say focus, 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 but usually it has to come, I would think, from inside. Can you talk about the role of your quarterback, A.J., and maybe C.J. defensively in helping that issue?
Well, I think that, coaches probably can affect things from outside in to some degree. But I think how the team gets affected from inside out probably ultimately determines how much buy-in you really have to whatever any coach says. Obviously, we've had some pretty good leadership on our team from A.J. McCarron and C.J. Mosley. They're both outstanding players. They both love Alabama. Football is really important to them, and how the team does is really important to them. But I think there's two things about leadership. Is you can have great leadership, but there has to be people on the team that is willing to respond to the leadership and to buy in and do the things that they need to do. And I think that's the critical piece to what is important for our team in this particular game. Is everybody going to go dig deep, do the things that they need to do to get back to being the kind of players they're capable of being in terms of how they execute every play in the game for 60 minutes in the game. So, that's the challenge. And, you can ask me to predict, what that's going to be, and you can ask me all kind of questions about where we are. But really, until we go play, nobody really knows for sure. And that's why we play. So, we're going to do everything we can to have our team well prepared, mentally and physically, to go out and play their best football. How they respond to that sometimes is, not something you can predict.
Other questions for Coach Saban? We'll get a mic to you here in the front row, right side. Go ahead.
James Hale, Sports Talk 1400, the ref in Norman. Coach Saban, Oklahoma traditionally was a 4-3 defense under Coach Stoops and Mike and Brent and those guys. Now they've gone to a different scheme this year, more of a 3-4. Can you talk about what you've seen from that and how well Oklahoma's adapted to the new scheme?
Well, I think they played very well on defense this year, and I think their players do a really good job of executing, what they're doing. We play a 3-4, so we kind of, understand how it's supposed to be played, and they certainly play it the way it's supposed to be played. So we have a lot of respect for the players that they have, the scheme that they have on defense. They're very well coached, and their players actually play with a tremendous amount of discipline and do a really good job, I think, and they've been, really good on defense this year, in my opinion.
Back over to the left side, second row. Cecil.
Coach, appreciate the encouragement. Did you have any New Year's resolutions that you would share with us?
You know what? I'm going to wait till after the game to make any New Year's resolutions. I think that, when you get in this and you're in bowl preparation or any game week, you sort of forget the day of the week relative to the rest of the world, and it's really all about what you're doing on that particular day to prepare for the game. So I really didn't make any, but I plan to, and I'm hopeful that I'll have enough discipline to see it through for a whole year.
Staying on the left side, we'll go back 3 rows. Go ahead.
And Nick, Jason Kersey from the Oklahoman. I know your relationship with the Stoops family goes way back to the early 80s. Can you sort of talk about what you remember about Ron Stoops?
Well, Ron was a really good friend, defensive coordinator at Cardinal Mooney, and his Uncle Bob, I call him, which is Bob's uncle, was the head coach at South High School in Youngstown, and that was my recruiting area for many, many years. And Ron was just a fantastic person and a really good coach and very well respected by all the players that he coached. And, Bob was a good friend, and he is a little different than Ron in that he was a little bit of a free spirit. So I remember that, when I'd be recruiting there, most of the time when the schools close, you have to wait till people get home from work before you can go do home visits at night. I was an assistant at this time, so I used to meet Bob in the boiler room at South High School, and we used to play cards, gin rummy, until I could go on a home visit. So that's the kind of relationship I've had with them. When when all these guys played at Iowa, the whole family, you know, I'm coaching at Michigan State as a defensive coordinator. The whole family would come to the game at Michigan State, and they'd all come to the house after the game. So this is a relationship that goes way back for many, many years, and I think it's because of the respect that I had for the family and the quality of people that they were, and I certainly have the same respect for the coaching fraternity that comes from that family, and obviously starts with Bob.
Other questions for Coach Saban? If you please raise your hand. Is that a hand there? Okay. Bring the mic up to the third row. Go ahead.
Andrew Hibble, Alabama Media Group. Nick, a few weeks ago you talked about, with ESPN, about wanting to start over like it was 2007 after the season. I just wonder if you can expound on that, you know, what that exactly means.
Well, you know, I think when you start a program, you really focus on the fundamental things that you feel are really important in the program, whether it's everybody buying into the principles and values of the team so that you can be a good team, and everybody having a positive attitude about trying to accomplish the goals that you've established, you know, for the team. You know, everybody being responsible for their own self-determination, that they'll go do the things that they need to do so that they can do their job well, and the willingness to work and invest your time and have the discipline to do things at a high level on a consistent basis. So if those are the sort of fundamental things that we want to accomplish, sometimes you do inventory and you say, well, we've gotten away from that a little bit, and maybe we need to get back to it. So maybe people need to be more accountable to it. Maybe they need to be more aware of it, whether it's coaches, players, myself, whoever's involved. So that's kind of what I meant by what I said when we got to that. When I made that statement, is we need to get back to the basic fundamental things that have made us a successful program through the years, and everybody's got to trust and believe in those things so that they really know and believe that that's what's going to help us be successful.
We'll come back to the right side, second row. Go ahead.
Hey, Coach, I'm Ken Rogers with the Dothan Eagle. After the Auburn game, you said we just didn't play like ourselves usually. But I wonder if you'd expand on that. And I know you had some self-evaluation, you know, following that game. Would you share any conclusions that you came from, you know,
Well,
what happened that day?
I think what I just said is the conclusion that I came to. You know, that we got away from doing some of the things that have been very important to us being a successful program, and it was important that we get back to doing things that way and holding people accountable to the standard that had helped us be successful. And, you know, I think the success that we had, we all sort of got away from that a little bit and didn't prepare as well, didn't pay attention to detail as well, didn't play with the same discipline, and it caught up to us. So, you know, fundamentally, we want to get back to those same things so that we have a better chance to be successful, and everybody's got to buy in. And if some players don't buy in, then we need to play the players that do, because I think that's the only way that everybody on the team can see that those things are important to the team. Because if somebody doesn't do those things and you still play them, and somebody else is doing those things and they're not playing, that's where the team chemistry sort of goes to pot, because you're saying that you don't really believe in them because you're not holding everybody accountable to do that, to get rewarded to be able to play. So, and you know, I think, you know, most people in our organization have responded in a positive way.
Back to our left side, middle of the room. Go ahead.
Coach Saban, Chris Lincoln with ABC in Tulsa. Why don't you talk, Coach, about the great tradition of these two programs? It's unmatched in any other bowl probably this season and for seasons in the past, to have two programs with this much tradition meeting each other.
Well, I think, you know, first of all, we're honored to represent the University of Alabama and the great tradition that we have, and certainly have a tremendous amount of respect for Oklahoma and the great tradition the Sooners have in terms of all that's been accomplished through the years. And I think there's a great responsibility and obligation for both teams, actually, to, sort of represent that tradition, in a first-class way, and that's certainly what we've tried to get our players to do, and everything that I've seen from the Oklahoma side of it, their team has certainly done that all season long in terms of the way they've competed and the way they've played, and the way they've represented, the university. So I think it's fantastic to be a part of something that is has that kind of tradition. Certainly makes it special to be a part of.
We have one more question, time for one more question. We'll take it here on the left side, about the fifth row.
Aaron Suttles, Tuscaloosa News. Coach, you'll be a guest analyst on the BCS National Championship game. Just wondering, you seem pretty comfortable doing that. Wondering if you enjoyed TV work and what you got out of it.
Well, to be honest, I think it's, really good exposure for our program to be able to be involved in, some of those kinds of things, and actually be able to have an opportunity to express your beliefs. And, you all have your beliefs, and I certainly represent, respect, your beliefs, in terms of how you think things should be done. So all of a sudden I get to get on the other side and I get to say how I think things should be done, and get an opportunity to be just like you, which is really what I've always wanted to be. So.
Okay, we'll conclude with that. Thank you, Coach. At this time, we'd like to invite up Coach Stoops to join Coach Saban at the podium along with the All-State Sugar Bowl trophy. We'll invite up our still photographers first.
All right, first we'll do 3 poses with the stills. First will be coaches shaking hands. Should be good. Now,